Well, let's try this again, my friends. Yeah, so I was live, talked about Wolf for a little bit, and then Ray came on and he accidentally ended the stream. So he's gonna have to go sit in the corner with his dunce cap and think about his life. Uh, so I'm just gonna start fresh here. Welcome to the Horror Syndicate. This is the Werewolf Wednesday show. Tonight I'm talking about the 1994 horror drama Wolf, starring Jack Nicholson, Michelle Pfeiffer, James Spader, and Christopher Plummer. That is tonight's topic. The other video will probably get deleted, so I'm just going to go over some stuff again. Sorry for the people who watched the beginning of the previous video, as I'm probably going to be repeating stuff here. So the story is about a character named Will. I think it's Will Randall, played by Jack Nicholson, who is the editor-in-chief of a publishing house in New York, who is bitten by a wolf on his way back from my home state, Vermont. And he is presented as a character who doesn't like to make waves. However, conveniently at the time that he is bitten by the wolf, some things start to change around him. The publishing house he works for is being bought out by a wealthy man, and so he's essentially getting demoted. And then he learns that his protege, played by James Spader, practically stole his job from him and has been banging his wife in the meantime. And so he begins to experience changes because of the wolf bite. He starts to become more confident and determined to set things right in his life, as he finally gets a backbone, so to speak, as he battles his little bout with lycanthropy. So yeah, this is a movie that I've seen before. Seen it a few times when I was younger. I've always enjoyed it. However, last night when I rewatched it, I struggled to get through it. To be honest, it kind of bored me. I think it is a well-made film, but I think there's too much of an emphasis on the drama side of it, and I don't think the horror side of it is portrayed very well. So that's basically my overall thoughts. Before I begin, I'll get to some comments. I'm sorry for whoever commented on the previous stream. I didn't even get a chance to read them before it ended. Chuck B says, "Welcome back, folks." Thank you. Sorry about that. Wolf, Joker, and Catwoman, along with Ultron. Yeah. Back again, Wolf. I find Jack Nicholson fine as the werewolf. As a human, he is stiff in the role and a bit boring for me. Michelle Pfeiffer, I quite liked as a love interest. Yeah, that's one of the things I do. I'm going to get back to something from that comment in a second here. My friend Scott Walker says, "Hey Seth, how you doing today, my friend? I've got what's to talk to you about today." Yeah, by the way, I did watch that American Werewolf in London fan film that you were telling me about, A London Lycanthrope. And turns out I have seen that before. As I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, someone sent me the link to this a couple years ago. So I did see that. It was pretty decent. Like most fan films, it's, very short. It kind of leaves you wanting more, but not too bad. Scott says production-wise it's fine, although I found the editing in the last fight with James Spader choppy for me and pretty convenient. James Spader becomes a werewolf for the final fight. Yeah. Which Jack Nicholson's The Wolf, do you see any similarities between the 1940 Wolfman and the 2010 Wolfman with this movie? Uh, I'm going to be talking about the werewolf design in a little bit as well. Okay, I'll get back to these comments in a little bit, actually, because there are some stuff that I do kind of want to go over as far as this movie. So I will get back to comments. Just bear with me here, because something that Scott brought up a couple points that I did want to talk about. So characters and cast. So I think this has got a really great cast, right? Jack Nicholson is always great. Michelle Pfeiffer is great. Christopher Plummer is great. James Spader, great. Um, as far as like James Spader goes, like he was meant for this role. I can't see anyone else playing this character as perfectly as he did. He's very good at this type of character. Um, everyone else did fine. Michelle Pfeiffer was good and very likable in it. Christopher Plummer is great in it. One of the things for me was one of the things I'm kind of hung up on right now is the Jack Nicholson part, because the character is essentially supposed to be someone who is not necessarily neutered. He's just like he's supposed to be a nice guy, and a gentleman, and there's supposed to be like the significant shift that happens with him, and because of the bite, and it just kind of feels like because it's Jack Nicholson, we don't get to see the real duality with this character. Like even when he's nice, I guess in the beginning, when he's kind of like again, like I mentioned earlier, he's a character who doesn't want to make waves, and but you know even still, it's still Jack Nicholson. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't really see too much of that of a big change within the character. I feel like maybe if it was a different actor who played this character, someone who could play like maybe a little bit more of like a timid, nice guy, pushover type of guy. Because that's essentially what this boils down to, right? This is a guy who kind of keeps getting screwed over, and then because he's bitten by a wolf and he starts to feel this change as he's becoming a werewolf, um, he's supposed to be a little bit more aggressive um, and I guess out of character. And I just don't feel like there's enough of the earlier side of it. I'm not saying Jack Nicholson couldn't play that part. Of course, I'm sure he could have. But if I don't know, it wasn't enough, I guess, for me. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's one of the things I did want to mention is, Jack Nicholson's great. I'm not trash talking him at all, but I kind of felt like maybe this would have been better if the character was played by someone who could bring more to the duality of the of the pre-bite and post-bite versions of Will. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes any sense. So next up, I do want to talk about the werewolf design. Yeah, so this is not one of my favorite. This is like one of my least favorite types of werewolves that some films and TV shows do, where they give them a little extra hair on the face, sharp teeth, yellow eyes, long fingernails, but it's essentially a person. Um, yeah, again, it's my least favorite type. Um, I don't think they look bad per se. I mean, the makeup effects look good. Like everything they do looks good here. I think Rick Baker did the effects on it, but um, yeah, I prefer like more animal like uh, werewolves. I'm a huge fan, especially of like the Howlin' and Dog Soldiers and Bad Moon, like that type of look of the 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 bipedal. Um, the bipedal wolf with the snout and um, the wolf like head and all that. Just this kind is the kind that we see, like on TV. Like I hated when they did it in Supernatural. Um, I think even then it was probably worse than this, but yeah, the design is just a no go for me here. This is like way more simplistic versions of like the Wolfman, I suppose. Um, but yeah, not my favorite. All right, I'll jump back into comments here real quick. Um, Whoop, what did I do? Trying to get back to where I left off. Okay, so yes, production-wise is fine, although I found the edit in the last fight with James Spader choppy for me and pretty convenient. That James Spader becomes a werewolf for the final fight. So I absolutely agree with that. I think again, this is a well-made film. I think the direction and cinematography are completely fine. Um, but I feel like there's a kind of a failure with the editing and perhaps the direction, especially when it comes to the werewolf stuff, and absolutely in the final fight. Um, as far as James Spader becoming a werewolf for the final act, I like that. He was essentially the villain the entire movie. He was the guy who backstabbed the lead character the most, and it just made sense for his character to become a wolf. Yeah, I'm fine with it. Oh yeah. Uh, See, I think it's less than those two. It's kind of inspired by the Wolfman, but a much more simplistic take on it. By the way, if you're watching, if you can hit the thumbs up, thumbs down. Uh, if you're watching on Facebook, thumbs up, heart emoji, laugh emoji, angry emoji, surprise face emoji, whatever. And if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Uh, and the wife was killed to set that storyline up. It's a solid 3-star movie, but a bit generic werewolf stuff. It's a werewolf movie I've seen before. Yeah, I think the problem with it is that it leaned too much into the drama side as opposed to the horror side. Now, don't get me wrong, I still like this movie, but upon my most recent viewing, it has dropped. Um, I find him snapping the deer's neck and his suffering distasteful. I don't mind him killing it, but off screen would have been better. Yeah, I mean, he's a werewolf. Werewolves are supposed to be savage creatures anyway, right? Um, Watch out, anyone with YouTube TV, they're dropping a ton of channels tomorrow. Oh, really? Did not know that. Was that fan-made American Werewolf in London movie? What are the chances that could have been a deleted scene or past credit scene of the movie that could be a sequel if they showed you? Uh, yeah, I don't know. Um, it was decent. It was decent. No worries, Seth. Take your time, man. Thank you. Kathy says hello, hello. Sean says James Spader plays a good villain. I mean, nailing his wife, stealing his job. How bad can you get? He's perfect cast, more or less. Same role he had in Ghost. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I mean, it's the perfect role for James Spader. I really like him in this type of like when he plays this type of character. It's always fun. Mm. I love Jack Nicholson. Such a great actor. Yeah, he is. He's a really good actor. It's just I I don't know. I was just kind of thinking about like what if another actor played the character, would there be more to the duality of the character and what's going on with him? Do you think the werewolf Jack Nicholson is playing? Do you think he looks more, I guess, 1940, but more simplistic? The waterbed in Nicholson movie was the woman he found well with the movie, or was it another wolf? I don't know what you're saying there, pal. If you could elaborate. uh, would you show that fan made to Universal? I mean, they probably wouldn't. There's a good chance someone at Universal's probably seen it. Um, yeah, and that would be up to them. If they liked it so much, they would have to contact the people who made it. However, it would never be like a deleted scene or post credit scene for American Werewolf in London. That film is complete as is. They're not gonna put in a. They're not gonna edit in a fan film. Seth, yeah, carriage dispute between YouTube TV and Paramount. Oh, yeah, YouTube has kind of pissed me off anyway with the fact that they basically won the war with ad blockers. Can't watch like a 5 minute video without like 20 ads. Ages ago, I read somewhere about the Jack Nicholson Werewolf movie. Yeah, well, I mean, it's basically two of my least favorite types of werewolves out there. The very simplistic, fangs and uh, some extra hair, and that's it. That type of wolf man, and then there's like the normal looking wolf and wolves running around. Not really my cup of tea. Everyone loves Jack except for Stephen King. Yeah. I watched Five Nights at Freddy's last night. Yes, I have not seen Five Nights at Freddy's. It didn't really look like my type of movie, so I passed on that. I did not see it. Did not see it. You read The Shining Book? Yes, I have. Yes, I have. it's definitely good, and I can get to a certain extent where Stephen King is coming from. However, the fact that he trashes The Shine, or at least he used to trash The Shining so much, and he's endorsed other stuff based off his work that is way worse. I don't know. Uh, if so, how different is it from the movie? Quite different. There's more of a progression of uh, Jack Torrance kind of changing throughout as he's kind of like uh, reading old like newspaper clippings or whatever about some of the stuff that's happened in the Overlook before. Um, there's this whole other backstory about how I think they kind of alluded to it in the Kubrick film, but I could be wrong. Um, about how when he was drunk, he accidentally broke Danny's arm. Um, I don't know. It's quite different uh, in a lot of ways, but I also feel like Kubrick's film is like one of the best horror films ever. So YouTube Premium, no ads. Yeah, probably should, but I don't know if I want to pay. But it might be less annoying, I guess. What do you mean if they found that scene as a post-credit scene or deleted scene? They wouldn't add a fan film to John Landis's film at all. That's what I'm saying. They could, if they liked it enough, they could use it, as like a proof of concept for, um, say, a sequel or some sort of project. They would bring those people in, and it would, if anything, there would be like a page one rewrite, and they would reshoot all that. But they wouldn't take that. I don't. They wouldn't take that fan film and do anything with it. I don't think. When David went on Rampage, yeah, I mean, definitely. There's so many possibilities. That's why I've been saying for a while now, there's no need for an American Werewolf in London remake at all, when you can just expand upon what's already there. If they wanted to do so, you could have someone who was bitten or scratched uh, during the whole scene in Piccadilly Circus, or you could explore more of the people from the Slaughter Lamb and East Proctor. Uh, yeah, there's so much that they could do. I quite like the drama side um, of it, but grounded drama are my favorite movie genre. The drama side is very good with Wolf. It's the horror side that fails. It's just there's something about when Jack Nicholson is running around as the Wolf Man, with not only the way it's shot but the way it's edited, and then even the score. It seems awkward, and there's no real. I don't feel like there's really any good tension um, or kind of danger, so to speak. Like we see, that he is capable of extreme violence. We see that when he goes up against the thugs there, but like I don't know, the horror side I don't think was particularly well done. This is a man on YouTube currently on his name was, but he's a real big fan. That's cool. The Shining is the best claustrophobic horror movie ever made for me. I mean, Kubrick really misses. I'm watching his entire filmography at the minute because I've not seen a lot of his movies quite great. Yeah, Kubrick is pretty awesome. I think my two favorites of his are The Shining and Full Metal Jacket. I fucking love Full Metal Jacket. Um, I shall soon be rewatching John Carpenter's entire filmography again. A lot of them I have only seen once. I'm curious on The Ward. I know it has haters, but I've never seen it. Ooh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, The Ward is a film that is not great, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as its reputation. Um, it There's nothing in it that feels distinctly John Carpenter at all. It just kind of feels like it's a paycheck film for him. And again, it's not the worst thing I've seen. I don't think it's nearly as bad as its reputation. However, I think this type of movie has been done before, and it was done better in another film in 2003. I don't want to name that film because I don't want to give away anything uh, from The Ward if you haven't seen it. But yeah, it's a shame that that is his last film. Like I wish he would make like just one more film, one more great film, and just kind of have his career end on a great note. But I mean, he does have a shitload of great films. So I mean, I have his entire filmography on Blu-ray. Yeah, but I hope you enjoy your Carpenter marathon. In Prince of Darkness, I have no memory of it other than Donald. Oh yeah, that's a film that's like a hit or miss with people. I love Prince of Darkness, but there's a lot of people who don't. Um, when you get a chance to listen to the audio book Story of American Wolf in London, you'll probably get an idea why they didn't put the asylum scene in the film. Oh, I will definitely have to check that out. After David was killed, I wonder what happened to him. Do they take him to the hospital? Do they do experiments? Yeah, there's so many possibilities, you know. Sean says in Starman, I remember that being very different from his filmography. I won't be revisiting Invisible Man. I can't stand Chevy Chase, and it's just the worst version of Invisible Man. Yeah, Starman is fantastic. Um, it's a fantastic sci-fi drama, romance, whatever. I love that movie. Memoirs of Invisible Man, I kind of like, but that's another film that kind of feels like a paycheck film. Uh, there's nothing in it that really feels distinctly Carpenter. Um, uh, I don't have a problem with Chevy Chase. He's okay in it. Sam Neill's the villain, so that's the reason to watch it. But yeah, it's not one of my favorites of his for sure. Do they go around doing the investigation to East Proctor and where David was attacked and stuff like that? We'd love to see that in a sequel. Yeah, same here, man. Absolutely. Definitely. There's so much that they could do. But yeah, so back to the topic at hand, Wolf. Uh, it's a middle of the road werewolf film for me. It's not bad. I don't think it's awful. However, it's not great either. And last night it just kind of bored me. Um, but I forgot that Ray was sending me the comments. He put up a post on Facebook earlier asking people what they thought of Wolf. I don't have Facebook anymore, so I couldn't read him. But he was kind enough to screenshot some comments for me. Um, so I'm gonna read what some people from the Horror Syndicate put for their response to Wolf. Uh, David Paulson wrote, "Is pretty great with the exception of the lame slow motion werewolf fight between Spader and Nicholson at the end." Yep, it's a, the werewolf stuff was not great. It wasn't handled great. It wasn't shot great, edited, all that. It just there was no tension to it, and I feel like that's a shame. Carl Mazzella wrote "laughable." That's his one word critique. Kathy wrote, I've watched many times, so obviously I enjoy it. Elliot Price wrote, "I love this movie, not to be taken seriously. It's a fun film." There's some fun stuff in it, for sure. There's some fun dialogue in there. Okay, this is the trivia part that Ray was telling me about. So Greg Cox wrote trivia. All the set dressings for the publishing office scenes, the books, catalogs, manuscripts, etc., came from Tor Books. As I recall, our art director worked out some sort of deal with the movie people to provide all those materials. This is kind of ironic since in the movie Jack Nicholson's character is being fired by the publisher for being too highbrow and whoop, phone turned off. And commercial enough, yet most of the books on his shelves are actually science fiction, fantasy, horror, and thrillers. I recognize them immediately by the spine. If you look closely, you can even spot some promotional art for Brian Lumley's Necroscope horror series pinned up in the cubicle. It's funny. And then he continued more. We wanted to do a novelization of the movie, but the main screenwriter wouldn't allow it. He would only permit a paperback edition of his script, not a novelization, which we passed on. That's interesting to know. That's definitely interesting to know. So those are some of the comments from the Facebook post earlier that Ray put up, asking people what they thought of Wolf. Sean Sheridan says, "I even bought his first movie, Dark Star. Seen a few minutes of it. It looks dated as it can be seen. It's very dated. It is hard to kind of sit through. I actually watched it multiple times, and I feel like the more I watch it, the more I actually enjoy it. It's a really goofy movie. And Dan O'Bannon plays a character who is just completely unhinged. It's kind of funny. It's a parody of 2001: A Space Odyssey. But yeah, if you can sit through it, I like the ending a lot. Most werewolf movies I find are middle of the road. You have London on the Throne, and nothing else is good. I did remember liking the werewolf with the blind dude. Yeah, late phases. Yep. I mean, there's quite a bit. So out of the 122 or 123 werewolf films I've seen, there's I want to say maybe 20 or 25 that I absolutely love. And then there's about from like number 26 to 60 something maybe that I feel like are middle of the road werewolf films. This is definitely middle of the road. I may have to drop it on my list. I have to see actually where I put it on my list as far as ranking it against other werewolf films. But yeah, maybe if I don't know, maybe if the werewolf stuff was better handled, I think I would have definitely liked this film a lot more. Again, competently made film, well-made film, well written, good actors, good performances. But the werewolf, the horror side of this really suffered, as they seem to kind of really favor the drama side of it. Maybe that's just me. How was Hellraiser on the big screen? Still having nightmares from watching some of those. Oh, it was awesome seeing it on the big screen. Yeah, had a blast. Went with a couple buddies. One of them, my friend Mike, he never seen Hellraiser before. So it was his first time watch, and he got to see on the big screen. Lucky son of a bitch. But it was great seeing it on the big screen. Hellraiser is one of my favorite horror films of all time, so that was a must watch. It looked great. It sounded great. It was great hearing Christopher Young's score. Yeah, it was just a wonderful time. Uh, Wikipedia says main girl from American Wolf in London was nurse treating Liam Neeson in Darkman. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that. She had that cameo in Darkman. Um, I love Darkman. God, I need to watch it again. I liked all three of them. Um, the direct-to-video sequels are pretty fun, you know. Hellraiser, I think, should have been a one and done. Its reputation suffers massively from the franchise. To a certain extent, I agree with that. Um, but I mean, I really love Hellraiser 2, and I'm glad we have it. It's just, it's just funny how the series kind of evolved because the Cenobites were the window dressing, and then it just became like they were like the people behind the movies were trying to make the Cenobites horror icons for the third and fourth movie, and then after that, it was a matter of the studio trying to keep the rights. um, so yeah, I mean, I love the whole franchise. I'm sort of an apologist for the Hellraiser franchise. There's only like two that I strongly dislike. Um, yeah, but I mean, I agree. It was. I think at the very least, it should have just been one and two. I think two kind of closes everything up pretty nicely. Chuckopedia says, by the way, my girlfriend had YouTube Premium. They still had a ton of ads. She dropped them and then got the ads jacked up even more. No shit. That's crazy. I think it was the only one who would get more respect like Halloween. Yeah, probably would. I got into werewolf movies and werewolf stuff years ago when I first watched American Werewolf in London, Ginger Snaps and the Wolfman, and Goosebumps, the Werewolf of Fever Swamp. That's cool. Yeah, so I got into werewolf movies. I mean, I was always like into like monster movies. Like I was introduced to the Universal stuff pretty early on. Um, and then I think when I was a teenager, I started getting more and more into werewolf stuff. That's when I first saw American Werewolf in London and The Howling. I grew up with Silver Bullet, um, and yeah, then my love just took off for the genre. Um, and then, of course, uh, one of my first full length screenplays that I wrote um, was a werewolf story, and it's of course like the one story that's like the closest to my heart. So yeah, just ever since then, and I'm just determined now to see every film, and I want to talk about every werewolf film on on this channel, good and bad. Uh, sounds like Brave New World is bad. I'm glad I dropped out of the MCU after No Way Home. Yeah, uh, I have I like the Captain America movies, but I have no interest in Brave New World at all. The trailers didn't do anything for me whatsoever, and yeah, and I kind of dropped out of the Marvel thing after Endgame. Really, I never really cared for their more recent Spider-Man films. Uh, I don't care what anyone says; they're nothing like the comics. Um, and you know, No Way Home had that nostalgia factor of having Toby and Andrew in it, and they did leave off on a decent note for me as a Spider-Man fan, with the character finally being on his own, making his own suit. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the Stark ass kisser that they made Spider-Man. Especially has a soft spot for Werewolf in Paris because of the sequel. And the one thing that powerful is about Paris, the daughter of David, didn't mention anything about her father. Yeah, well, I mean, okay, so American Werewolf in Paris, I think, is a very flawed but very fun movie. I do have a soft spot for that one too. And I think from what I understand is they pretty much like they cut all ties and connections to the first film that they were originally going to have. So it was originally intended for her to be the daughter of David and Alex, but they dropped that for the movie. For such a legendary company, Disney has really dropped the ball the last few years. Not done with them much since Fox, since they bought them. Yeah, they've actually been doing surprisingly decent with the Fox stuff. Um, I like Prey. I like Alien Romulus. What the hell? Oh, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was really good. So far, so good with the Fox stuff. Today, all the elephants in our local Melbourne Zoo have been moved to a much bigger, so I'm gonna. Oh, crazy. Though I'm a hypocrite because I think 20th Century has suffered since Disney bought them. I love Disney Plus for the back catalog of movies. Fair enough. I mean, I've always I didn't like the idea of Disney buying Fox at all. It's not because I don't think Disney could do it, because I've Disney owned Miramax in the '90s, so I knew that I didn't have a problem with them taking on a studio that does R-rated stuff, but I just felt like they were just gonna make everything generic, sort of like they did with Lucasfilm. They kind of made Star Wars feel generic. Looking at Disney makes me glad that Sony didn't buy Paramount, because I don't like the big mergers and reducing studios. Yeah, same here. I feel like we need these different studios to not be connected. Do you think Surfing knows anything that? No, if I remember correctly, I think they say in the movie that Claude only became a werewolf after he stole her blood. Could be worse. I guess you could have a Sony Spider-Man universe with no Spider-Man. Yeah, that's just dumb. Everyone jumping in on the shared universe thing. It's just dumb. Uh, and those movies are okay. I do want to be fair. I have not seen Morbius. Well, I've seen parts of it. Uh, my girlfriend watched it. Um, I've not seen Madam Web. Have not seen Craven, but I've seen the 3 Venom films. First Venom film was okay. Second one was a piece of shit. Third one was okay. Um, Wikipedia says never heard anything about the girl from Paris being their daughter. I heard it was supposed to be the guy being their son. Yeah, so from what I understand is that the original intent was that Seraphine was supposed to be the daughter of David, and and Alex Price, and actually when we see Seraphine's mother in the film, the ghostly version of her in the one scene in the bedroom, that was supposed to be uh, Alex Price, but they decided to kind of get rid of that. Which confuses me. I think their Spider-Man stuff Sony does great, but the side characters are bad. Even Venom, I enjoy them though. It feels like they're just pushing out these films. They're not giving enough time to develop them to make good stories. They're just kind of uh, trying to rush them out, trying to create this shared Spider-Man universe without Spider-Man, um, and they're not doing a really good job. To go even further off topic, how are you on the Amazing Spider-Man movies? I think two is way better than people say. I love it. I actually like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Okay, so those are my favorite. My favorite Spider-Man movies are the Sam Raimi ones. But I thought the Amazing Spider-Man was actually pretty damn good. I liked Andrew as Spider-Man, although I didn't like the emo skateboarder take on Peter Parker. Um, Still, I think Andrew's version of Peter Parker had personality, which made it fun. Uh, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think I'm kind of with you where I don't. I'm not with you. On this regard, like I don't love it, but I'm with you on. I don't really think it's as bad as people say. It's just too crowded. It's just like Spider-Man 3. Just it's too crowded and almost kind of rushed together. Like the thing with Amazing Spider-Man 2 is like they could have just focused on an individual story, but instead they were trying to build a universe. It was just another case of a studio getting a little antsy and trying to make something, trying to force something to happen fast as opposed to let it organically grow. That's my thoughts on that. Um, so, any other directors Ray hates? Cameron, Scorsese, Spielberg? Yeah, I'm not sure how he feels about Cameron. I think he likes Cameron. I think he likes Scorsese, and I think he likes Spielberg. But I can't speak for him. You're gonna have to ask him on our next stream that we do together. I think the only reason Venom succeeded is because he's so beloved. It was better than Venom and Spider-Man 3. I agree. And the funny thing is, it's like I've never really cared for the Venom character all that much. So I had like no expectations for the first Venom film, and I thought it was actually kind of fun. Um, yeah, I'm going to ask this one more time. Do you think Seraphine to do anything about her father being a werewolf and pass on the gene to her? Again, I'm not fully understanding what you're putting out here, pal. Um, does she know anything about her father being the werewolf and he passed on the gene to her? Yeah, I think she knows that, and yeah, she's completely well aware of that in the film because she explains that to Andy, and she explains that her stepfather, which is the man with no legs in the basement of the house, uh, was a scientist who was trying to work on a cure for her. Um, so I think, uh, yeah, she knows that it was hereditary. I think she mentions that it was passed on to her. Um, she knows that she's a werewolf and all that. But again, they cut out all ties to American Wolf from London. So, you know, whether or not you want to interpret her being their daughter, that's up to you. One last off topic question. Who is a director you think wasted their talent? Me is Frank Darabont. Did the Green Mile, Shawshank, and The Mist. Dude has such talent, and they only did 4 movies. Yeah, I think it's a shame that he retired early. Um, he's a wonderful director. Um, to be honest with you, my favorite seasons of The Walking Dead were the ones that he did, which was essentially the first two. I think he was fired halfway through production of season two. And you could definitely tell when a different showrunner took over. Um, but yeah, I definitely agree with that. I, I wish he made more stuff. He was especially good at adapting Stephen King. Yeah, he worked on Dream Warriors. He worked on The Blob. Uh, he actually cameoed in John Carpenter's Vampires. He has a scene in that where Daniel Baldwin steals his car. Um, uh, I guess he's coming out. I read something where he's coming out of retirement. He actually is directing an episode or two of Stranger Things season 5. Apparently, he's a big fan of that show, and that got him to come out of retirement. So he is directing a couple episodes of that. I just wish he did more because I think he's a fantastic director. He's a great writer too, of course. Co-writer of Dream Warriors and The Blob and several other things. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to wrap this up for the night. So, getting back to Wolf, the topic at hand. Uh, it's a good movie. It definitely is a good movie. It's just, it's not a movie that I like nearly as much as I used to when I was younger. This is definitely oh yeah, didn't even mention this, the ending, and what that's supposed to mean, if she was a wolf the entire time or if she eventually got turned. Um, yeah, so Wolf is a horror drama that leans heavy into the drama side. Uh, I wish the werewolf stuff was better, um, but it is what it is. It's a completely watchable movie. It's a middle of the road werewolf movie. I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of like a rating system, something related to wolves for the show. Um, but yeah, um, yeah, I think it's a fine movie. It's just I struggled to watch it last night, so this is gonna have to be like one of those I have to be in the mood to watch type of movies. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Wolf from 1994. Um, yeah, uh, it's an okay movie. It's okay. So next week I will be back to talk about Scream of the Wolf, aka Wolf Manor, from 2023. It is available to watch on Prime. It's also available on Tubi. Uh, so that should be kind of a fun one to talk about. It's a direct-to-video werewolf film. Uh, But yeah, I'm following my schedule that I made. So I'll just double check to see if there's any new comments before I head out. There does not appear to be. So thank you to anyone who watched. Sorry for the mishap earlier when the stream accidentally came to an end. Hope everyone has a good night. And join me next week for Scream of the Wolf, aka Wolf Manor from 2023.